welcome to the Lock Lab 101 YouTube channel. This is part 5 of my series about mortise locks called The View Within, and today we're going to be talking about a rather delicate subject, which is tension. How much tension do you apply to a lock to get it open? And surprisingly enough, it's a lot less than what you would think. So what I'm going to do to start this video is I'm going to pop my tool into here, into the lock, and to apply tension to this lock I'm going to use a Euro cylinder, and I'm just going to perch it on there, just literally hanging on the end of that tool, and I'm going to pick this lock, and you'll see that on the scope that's actually inside the lock. And as I pick this lock, you will see that I won't have a huge amount of input on the tension. All the tension is being governed literally by the weight of that lock that's sitting there on that tension arm. So I'm going to work my way through this and set the levers. And there's not a massive amount of feedback, of course, because all of the normal clicking and clunking that you get when you apply too much tension is not going to be there. So let's just see where we're going to get to. It feels to me like lever 5, 4, 3 are set, lever 2 is set. Okay, let's go for lever 1. And there we go, the lock is open, and the Euro cylinder weight that was sitting on there has fallen off. And that literally, just the weight of that on that arm was all that was needed to open the lock. I'll just going to weigh this and see how much it weighs. So I've just weighed the Euro cylinder that we used as a weight on this tension arm, and it weighs 230 grams, so there's hardly any weight in there at all. But that 230 grams, if not less, because it was actually close to the center of the tool, so the lever moment would mean it was probably a lot less than 230 grams, but all the same, that was all it needed to set the levers and to open the lock successfully. So if we now have a look inside the lock, which I've reset, you can see I'm going to try and show what happens if you apply way too much tension to the lock. So I'm applying a lot of tension to the lock now, and I'm lifting lever 5, which is binding heavily, lever 4, which is bound, lever 3, get onto lever 3, where are you, lever 3, there you are, okay, 2, and then 1, okay. Now what you'll probably notice is that lever 3 is just stuck up on the curtain now, and I'm grabbing hold of this with an awful lot of pressure, and in doing so, when I've lifted a lever, it's grabbed and then it's let go in an uncontrolled style, and then it's overset itself right up at the top there. And even if I keep all this pressure on here, you can see that that lever's not moving, it won't move down, everything else is locked up, not giving any feedback, and of course this lock will never open. Sometimes when you're learning, you'll hold a lot of pressure on. You won't realise that you've overlifted something like you've got here and it's stuck. And of course, you'll be sitting here for ages trying to get this lock open. Let's just release that tension again. So again, I'm going to apply heavy tension to this. I'm going to pick lever 5. Now, you can hear you get lots of clicks, and that lever has now stopped moving. But actually the lever's not set. What it's done is it's now sitting on an anti-pick notch, in the notch on the curtain. So that again, the lock's never going to open, but because I've held it really hard, held the tension really high, it's not actually going to set the lever properly. And it doesn't matter what I do now in this lock, well, in fact, there you go, it's just dropped down. But by holding the tension on firm, as you can see, all of the control in setting these levers has gone. So too much tension will result in things being overset, not getting the feedback that you need to hear or feel in the lock, and it will just frustrate you. So the thing to do is to apply just enough tension. So here I'm just applying it's hard to explain really, but it's just a sort of a fine, what I would call a light to medium tension. And if you look at the bolt stump at the back there, you can see that it's just pushing against the levers, but it's not massively pushing into them. It's just binding them just enough for us to go onto that first lever 5, lift it up and feel what's going on. So I can feel that graunching and grinding against the bolt stump. And because I don't have an awful lot of tension on there, I can also feel whether it's actually in a gate or whether the lever's tapping to indicate that it might be in a gate. So I can then move on to the next lever. Again, really gentle tension on here. I'm setting the lever and just generally feeling where it's at. The next lever, feeling where it's at. And sometimes if the tension's too loose, of course, then levers are going to drop. But that's maybe not such a bad thing. That just means that your binding order is incorrect. You're picking the levers in the wrong order. So now I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to set the levers at the front of the lock, and I'm going to release the tension even more. So I'm hardly holding on to this at all. And then we get to this point here where we've got levers set, and as you can see, the lock is opened. But when the lock opened, it wasn't a dramatic open, it was just a gentle release. In fact, sometimes if the tension's too loose, you can actually have the lock open and not physically throw the bolt because you're being that gentle with it. So it's always going to be a balance between what you can feel and when you can feel that the levers are binding, just be really gentle on the tension so you can allow them to move. You can still feel them move. You can still feel them grind a little bit, but not enough to lock it up, or if the lever was to suddenly release, for the lever to suddenly jump and overset itself. So as you saw with the 230 gram Euro, you don't need a massive amount of pressure on there. You need just enough to be able to feel the feedback and to know where you're at in the lock. The temptation again is to grab hold of a big handful of tension and keep hold of that in the hope that the levers that you've set are going to stay where they are, and then you're going to get to the point where you've got one binding lever left that you're going to lift up and the lock's going to open. And sadly, in the vast majority of cases, that's not how it works. The tension needs to be modulated, the tension needs to be monitored all the time while you're picking the lock. Just always add tension, take tension off, add tension, take tension off, and just feel for the feedback that the lock is going to be giving you. Right, well, I hope that's going to help. You know, if you're picking something and it's not working for you, just release your tension a little bit and just work on one lever on its own and just feel that grinding that you've got there that tells you that the lever is binding against the bolt stump. And then when you have a really gentle tension, you can feel it jump into the gate where it belongs. And when it's jumped into the gate where it belongs, then you can tap the lever, and the lever will tell you all you need to know about where it is and its position in the lock. Okay, all right guys, thanks for watching, and bye for now.